The hospital hall smelled of antiseptic, and the beeping machines around her seemed louder than usual. Amelia clutched her belly, sweat dripping down her forehead as another contraction surged through her. She had never felt more vulnerable. Alone, exhausted, and scared, she knew the moment had finally come. The nurse rushed her into the delivery room, assuring her everything would be fine. But Amelia wasn't convinced. She had spent the last 9 months preparing herself for this moment, mentally and physically, yet the absence of someone to hold her hand burned deeper than the pain of labor itself. For 2 years, she had built her life in silence, hiding away from the man who had broken her heart, Ethan Blackwood, the billionaire CEO who had once promised her the world. Their relationship had been a whirlwind romance, filled with luxury, passion, and dreams. But when she discovered she was pregnant, everything fell apart. Ethan had accused her of trapping him, of using him for his wealth. The words had cut so deeply that Amelia had walked away without ever telling him the truth. The child she carried was his. Now, on the verge of bringing her baby into the world, Amelia thought she had left all memories of him behind. Until the door swung open. Her heart nearly stopped. Standing there in a crisp white coat, stethoscope around his neck, was Ethan. Amelia. His voice cracked, disbelief flashing across his usually composed face. Her breath hitched. She thought she was hallucinating from the pain, but it was real. Ethan Blackwood, the man she had loved, the man she had hated, was the doctor assigned to deliver her baby. What are you doing here? She gasped between contractions. He stepped closer, his eyes scanning her pale face, the sweat, the trembling hands. The billionaire who had always looked untouchable, cold and arrogant, now looked shaken. I shouldn't even be here. I left the boardroom for an emergency case. I didn't know it was you. The nurse interrupted, Doctor, we need to move fast. The baby's heart rate is dropping. Ethan froze, his hands tightening into fists, then loosening as if he had to force himself to focus. His eyes locked on Amelia again, and something unreadable passed through them. Without hesitation, he slipped into full doctor mode. Amelia, listen to me, he said, his voice suddenly calm, steady, and commanding. You're going to be fine. I won't let anything happen to you or the baby. Her eyes blurred with tears. How dare he sound so sure, so protective, when he had abandoned her before. But right now, she didn't have the strength to argue. She let out a cry as another contraction racked her body, and Ethan grabbed her hand. She wanted to pull away, but his grip was firm, grounding. Breathe with me, he whispered, leaning close. In through your nose, out through your mouth. I've got you. I promise. Amelia had sworn never to trust him again. Yet, as the chaos of the delivery room unfolded, she found herself clinging to his words, to his touch, as if it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. No matter how much she hated him, her heart still remembered how to beat for Ethan Blackwood. The room buzzed with urgency as nurses moved around, checking monitors and preparing equipment. Amelia clutched Ethan's hand tighter, her knuckles white. Every contraction stole her breath, but what left her more shaken was the reality that her billionaire ex, the man who had once shattered her heart, was now the only one standing between life and death for her and her child. Ethan leaned close, his voice calm yet fierce. You're stronger than you think, Amelia. Push when I tell you. Don't give up now. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Why are you doing this? She whispered, her voice trembling. His eyes softened, though his hands worked swiftly, guiding the team. Because I let you down once. I won't do it again. The words struck her like lightning. For 2 years, she had convinced herself that he never cared. But the intensity in his gaze said otherwise. Doctor, the baby's position isn't good, the nurse warned. It's breech. Amelia's panic spiked. What does that mean? Is my baby going to? Shish, look at me, Ethan interrupted firmly, pressing her hand to his chest as if anchoring her to his heartbeat. I can do this. I need you to trust me one last time. One last time. The phrase broke something inside her. Against all reason, she nodded. The next moments blurred into screams, commands, and desperate breaths. Ethan worked with precision, his usually steady hands trembling slightly as he maneuvered with skill born from years of training. Amelia's world narrowed to his voice, the steady encouragement, the whispered reassurances, the fierce determination laced in every word. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the cry of a newborn filled the room. Amelia collapsed back against the pillows, sobbing with relief. Ethan held the tiny, wriggling baby in his arms, his expression crumbling in a way she had never seen before. The billionaire who had always hidden behind walls of pride and power now stood raw, undone, staring at the life they had created together. "It's a girl," he whispered hoarsely, his voice breaking. His hands trembled as he gently placed the baby on Amelia's chest. Amelia looked down at the tiny face, her tears falling onto the baby's soft skin. For a moment, the world stopped. But when she looked back up, Ethan wasn't just a doctor or a billionaire. He was a man fighting the storm in his own heart. "She's mine, isn't she?" he asked quietly, his eyes shimmering with a vulnerability she had never seen. Amelia hesitated, every instinct screaming at her to protect herself. But as she saw the way he looked at their daughter, something inside her softened. "Yes," she whispered. "She's yours." Ethan exhaled sharply, as though he had been holding his breath for years. He sank into the chair beside her bed, running a hand through his hair, his composure breaking entirely. "I was a fool," he admitted, his voice ragged. "I pushed you away because I was afraid of being used, of losing control. But looking at her, looking at you, I realize I've already lost more than I can ever get back." Amelia blinked at him, stunned. This was the man who had once accused her of lies, who had walked away without a second thought. And yet here he was, bearing his soul. "You hurt me, Ethan," she whispered. "You left me alone when I needed you the most." He reached out, hesitating, then gently brushed a tear from her cheek. "I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right, if you'll let me. Not as a billionaire. Not as your doctor. But as the father of our child, and maybe, someday, as the man you can love again." Amelia's heart twisted. Part of her wanted to slam the door on him forever, to remind him of the nights she had cried alone, the fear she had faced without him. But another part, the part that still remembered his touch, his laughter, the way he used to look at her, whispered that maybe people could change. The baby stirred in her arms, letting out a soft cry. Ethan leaned closer, his large hand dwarfing their daughter's tiny one as she instinctively wrapped her fingers around his. His eyes filled with tears. "She's perfect," he whispered. "And so are you, for bringing her into this world." For the first time in years, Amelia didn't feel alone. She didn't give him an answer that night. But as she watched Ethan cradle their daughter, his expression filled with awe and devotion, she realized that maybe, just maybe, the man who had once broken her heart was also the only one capable of piecing it back together. And what he did in that delivery room, choosing her, choosing their child, choosing to face his own mistakes, was more unbelievable than any billion-dollar empire he could ever build. Because this time, Ethan Blackwood wasn't walking away.